Oh, yeah, it's good stuff. So, as I look at this print, I'm going to look at it as a solid block, and I'm not going to add any of these fillets until I've got a solid, right? So I'm going to look at the overall width, 3.570, overall depth, 2.325. So I'm basically going to start with a sketch. And again, all my sketches have to start on the XY plane. Remember, we're machining in the XY plane. So I'm going to lock my origin here, top left, back corner. Remember, our origin is always back here. And I'm going to dimension my overall width to whatever that number was. I already forgot. 3,570. So 3.570. And then what was the width, or this way? Anybody remember? That was 2,325. A little bit of a delay. 2.325. So once I have that, I'm going to just extrude it. I'm going to extrude it to the overall depth in the negative direction. So I should have looked at that first. How thick is my material? How big is my material? And make it that big. So if I go back to my print, I can look at this and verify that it is 0.25 thick. I verified my overall and verified my overall. Now, I could use the shell command. I saw some people do that. However, it's probably not the best way to do this because if I look very closely, my floor thickness, which is this, is 50 thousandths, and my wall thickness, which is here, is 85 thousandths. So since my floor and my wall are different, shelling it is probably not a good idea. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my model, and I'm going to round the edges, and I'm just going to make a sketch on this face, and I'm going to extrude it in for the depth. So let me just check and see what the radius of these four corners are, and that should be shown right on the print. If I zoom in, the radius of this outside corner is 0.225. So I'm going to jump back over to here. I'm going to go to my fillet command, and I'm going to pick each of the four corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0.225. And now they're rounded. So if I want to pocket this out, and I want to make this basically hollow, now I can make a sketch on the front face, and I can use offset. We've used this before. If I go up to the modify window and I offset, I can click an outside edge, an outside edge, and I can drag it in. Notice how it's replicating the line that I picked, and it's duplicating it on the inside. I'm going to put the wall thickness here, however thick the wall should be. Does anybody remember how thick that wall was? What was it? Yes, 0.085. So I'm going to do this in the negative direction. And there's my wall. I could do this, and I could say extrude, and I could cut it straight down, and that would work. But I don't want to do that yet because I feel like when I look at the print, I'm going to go back to the sketch, there's something I could add before extruding it. There's a little hole right here. I feel like I should add that now before I extrude it. So if I look at the top, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. This hole is rounded in a very weird way. Why don't I just ignore it for now, and I'll use fillet later. If I look at the top view, it gives me very good dimensions in terms of how far over and how far wide that gap is supposed to be. So 1395 and 780. So I'm going to go to my sketch. I'm going to draw two lines, one here and one here. And I'm going to dimension it from the very edge to here, 1395, 1.395, and I think that other one was 780. 0.780. You see what I just did? Now I have two regions so that if I finish my sketch, I can extrude not only the middle, but also this little chunk right there. In the negative direction, now I'm going to do some mental math. I know my part is 0.25. I want the floor to be 50 thousandths thick. So 0.25 minus 50 thousandths back row is what? What's 0.25 minus 0.05? What is it? 0.2. So I'm going to go negative 0.2 and say, okay, now I have that portion complete. From here, I think you have a good starting point to where all of the other features, this right here is just a slot. You can place this slot in here using, it's actually a tool. I'm going to make a sketch on the face. If you go to create, there's a slot center to center, and you can draw a slot. You can specify the width. I don't know what the width is. I'm not going to waste any more time, but you can specify the width. You can specify the length and all of those great things, and it draws it for you, and then you can cut it. Some of you are laughing. You might have struggled with drawing that. I don't know what the dimensions are. Put them in. Now you can add your radiuses or your fillets and do all that good stuff, right? I'll leave it to you to add the little sides, but this should get you started. Questions? Excellent. So again, once we have this done, you should have a finished wallet looking exactly like this, exact same properties in the solid, meaning like volume. And then what we're going to do is we are going to play with different tool paths to look at surface finish, because we're all going to want to have a good quality product in the end that doesn't have scrapes and scratches all over it from the tool, or at least minimize the scrapes and scratches. And then each of you will have the opportunity to engrave on the back side whatever you choose on this portion back here. So we'll have two machines set up. One for mass producing the wallet, and the other machine set up for your unique engraving on the backside. And then we'll set up the polisher for polishing. Yeah, that's right. All right, so that is the end of this video.